everybody, welcome to this episode of KCTV. My name's Kiejah.
This is Conley.
And this is where we sort of talk about news, politics, music, whatever that happens to be on our minds. This episode, we're actually going to get a little bit heavier than what we normally go ahead and get into. We have been following the new, well, not really new, it's like, but, the article, like the news story coverage with Donald Sterling, the owner of the famous Clippers, and his inappropriate comments. And, when the news story first broke, I thought, well, first off, I was like, how bad could it possibly be? And then I heard, the audio.
Yeah, it bothers me a lot that you want to broadcast that you're associating with black people. You don't have to.
You associate with black people.
I'm not you and you're not me. You're supposed to be a delicate white or a delicate Latina girl.
I'm a mixed girl.
Okay. Well, but
and you're in love with me. And I'm black and Mexican.
Well, then, a week later, he was actually going to do an interview with Anderson Cooper, and I thought, okay, well, here's his chance to repent. He's gonna.
And here's the pitch.
And this happens.
What has he done? Can you tell me? Big Magic Johnson, what has he done?
Well, he's a business person.
He's got AIDS. Did he do any business? Did he help anybody in South L.A.?
Well, I think he has HIV. He doesn't actually have full-blown AIDS. But
Well, what kind of a guy goes to every city, has sex with every girl, then he catches HIV? And is that someone we want to respect and tell our kids about? I think he should be ashamed of himself.
And don't even get me started on his gold-digging wife and his mistress, who might or might not be a man. I don't really want to go ahead and talk about that because, quite frankly, I feel as though that with racism in particular and this situation, it's a dead horse. It's been beaten into the ground. He is banned from the NBA for life, but it doesn't matter what we go ahead and say. It's kind of done. And another racist man is still rich. What I want to talk about is I want to focus on some of our experiences with racism. We are, North Carolina, we are North Carolina.
We are North Carolinian people.
Thank you.
With an interracial parents.
Yes.
My mom is actually from Africa, which you can't get any blacker than that.
West Liberia. And, Dad is from, Kellogg, Idaho. Literally, about, 45 minutes away, from the border of Canada. You can't get any wider. So we want to go and discuss some of the experiences that we had growing up in the Deep South, at that time, in the early 80s, being products of an interracial couple.
And we'd also like to talk about some of the experience that not only we had to deal with, but also our parents while we were just growing up in the house.
Correct. Alright, so do you want to go ahead and start, or do you want me to start?
I'm gonna start on this Donald Sterling thing. I gotta toss in my 2 cents for this. In my personal opinion, Donald Sterling is not only racist but a dumbass. If you are a multimillionaire and you're making a lot of money off a basketball team in a sport that's predominantly black, why would you do something so stupid as insult the entire black culture? Everybody that told me, I looked at the news today, Donald Sterling has actually been banned from the NBA. It's really that surprising. I know one thing. If I'm a manager of a store and I have 5 people, all of them are Hispanic or black. Let's just go with that one except for the one white guy. We'll go with one white guy.
Right.
I was like, I know I'm not going to tell black and Mexican jokes. I was like, so why would he think, I can't even start to comprehend why he thought it'd be a good idea to go, what? You're hanging out with the help?
Well, here's the thing that I will go ahead and say. First off, that goes back to my original comment with, that mistress who may or may not be a man, who, I'm not saying she's a gold digger, but
she ain't messing with no broke.
It's let's be honest. She completely set him up. He's dead wrong, but, she's no innocent either. And quite frankly, with him, I was he is at that ripe old age where he, when you get, around, that ripe old age where you just don't give a flying about what you say or who you offend. And the man is like rich beyond belief. Even with his band, and even with the looming possibility of him being forced to sell the Clippers, he would get $1 billion. That's billion with a B. Okay, so the man could still be racist and rich. So at 75, 76, 77 years old, what does he care? Honestly, like, what does he care? You know, it's like, and I think with him, he still, like a lot of people in this day and age, they, you know, do not know how to distinguish the difference between public views and kitchen table talk. When the audio tapes were released, you know, his big mistake, in my opinion, was, you know, doing an interview with Anderson Cooper. Because, like, that was, like, the censure. For me, I'm like, if I had audio tapes saying very disparaging, you know, things about an entire race in this very PC culture that we are in, and in my organization, the predominant people that I employ are or darker. Well, that's what I mean. It's like, instead, you know, he goes on Anderson Cooper, and again, let's watch another clip again.
But what does he do for the black people? He doesn't do anything. You call up and say, well,
he's opened a lot of businesses in
You know it's bad when Anderson Cooper, who is a seasoned journalist, who has been in Kuwait, who has been knee-deep in feces in Katrina, he's been in horrible situations, is looking across this guy and sort of clutching his, like, you know, imaginary pearls with what this guy is saying. I don't even want to go ahead and, like, you know, drug it up, and I don't even want to go ahead and drag it out, quite frankly, because, quite frankly, he's a moron. He'll still be rich, like, afterwards. I will only go ahead and pay attention afterwards, let's say, if his wife finally gets that divorce that she's been hunting for the past 20 years. You know, like, and I want to be there. Hey, Court TV, if you can go ahead and put, like, the cameras in, like, you know, when they finally go to the trial, could you tape that, please? Because I will watch that. That's going to be a lot of fun. The mysterious, like, you know, man, Miss Stabanovo, you know, going to go ahead and stand up there with, like, her visor. It's like, you know, looking like Contessa, like, from Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego.
Although, you ever notice how most races that are, like, really, I'm against the world, end up being caught with either men or people of the sex they're being racist against?
Yes. It's like, and it's like, you all would just be so much happier if you would just admit that you were freaks, just like the rest of us.
By the way, you want to know something interesting? One of the leaders of the KKK has been banished from the KKK. You want to know why?
Oh, because he got busted with a black male prostitute.
Exactly. And by the way, this was his second offense. Not his first, his second offense. The first time they let him go because they didn't have enough proof to prove that he had been having sex with this man.
Let me tell you something. That came across my newsfeed. I'm like, love it. Love everything about it. So, let's go ahead and talk about, like, some of our experiences as far as, you know, racism. I remember my dad had just finished dropping me off to daycare, and I walked in. I was all of, like, 7 years old, and I was in one of, like, the regular, like, playrooms watching Gemini Holograms before the bus shuttled us off the way to elementary school. And I was sitting there, you know, going and singing. A girl go ahead and, like, comes up to me, sits down, looks at me, probably gets about 3 inches away from my face, and says, "What are you?" And I'm like, huh? It's like, she's like, "What are you?" I was like, "Your mom's like your color, but your dad's like my color. What are you?" And how does a 7-year-old, you know, answer like that question? You know, it's like, and I was really, I mean, I'm still technically sensitive, but I'm a lot more brash, like, at this age than I was back then. But back then, you know, I didn't know how to deal, so I just burst into tears. He was like, and then I was, like, crying, and then the kid was like, "Why is she crying?" I was like, and the teachers, like, got involved. It's like, it was a whole conference. It was a mess. Of course, like, you know, my mom was fit to be tied, you know, and the whole thing. You know, it's like, and by the way, it's like, I also like to point out that I got racism not only by the white people, but I also got racism by the black people. because I had the nerve to have a white father.
So like, there's a 9-year difference in age between me and my brother, and even then, after 9 years have passed, after he had finally got out of school, which really sucked because I ended up having the same teachers. The one thing I noticed that no matter what racism kept carrying, it didn't really stop really good till around 2000 my, I want to say either my junior or my senior year of high school. And I've had to deal with all kinds of, because at that point when I was in high school, it switched from racism to sexist, which the homosexuality, I don't like. As you can tell, my brother's gay.
Duh.
I've never really understood where it is that people believe this is wrong. But we'll get to that on a different day. I've had people, like when I was in elementary school, I've had white people come up to me and basically say the N-word and tell me I need to go work on their farm. I've been to Idaho, which is still racist, no matter where you go. I've been called the N-word left and right up there. I've been picked out because, well, my parents were interracial. And I've just had to deal with more crap since I've been growing up since I was a little kid than anything else. It wasn't, like I said, it wasn't until I reached high school where it actually finally stopped. But even then, we were still being secluded because of his sex. And the one major thing that I don't understand, and I've actually spoke to this about this. I've seen people actually walk up to their own family, people they've known for years, that finally come out of the closet, and they just say, "Sorry, I disown you. You're not worth their time."